up, y'all? Haven't been posting too much lately, but trying to get back into it. Today we're gonna get you started on how you should be picking based on, divisional opponents. Again, divisional opponents are super important within fantasy football because you'll see the Bills play against the Dolphins twice a year. The Dolphins play against the Patriots twice a year. So, super important, especially when you're doing these kind of tournament style drafts like I am almost every night when there are tournaments available on Underdog. Um, but if you are just looking at your general fantasy league, it'll still be important to know who has the favorable matchups, how these offenses are working, and it's just an overall breakdown on how these teams are looking towards the next upcoming season. As kind of implied through the first part of this video, we're going to go through originally and we're going to start talking about the AFC East. So we're going to go team by team and then we're going to compare these players within these different teams, seeing who should you be drafting, who should you not be drafting, why I may be higher or lower than on a player than they're currently projected. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The Bills, because I think they are the best team in this division. I think they're going to win the most games. I think they have the best offense. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Obviously, QB wise, you have the QB1 in fantasy here in Josh Allen. Um, Plays 17 games a season for the past 3 seasons. Been QB1, QB4, QB1 in the past 3 seasons. Um, Very high floor, extremely high ceiling with this guy. So, honestly, no surprise. You're going to see him be the top player there. Um, he had foot surgery this offseason. It's not a huge concern. What you will see is that he has been falling in ADP. His ADP is now 35 in fantasy drafts on Underdog, where originally he was going at 31. The reasoning may be the foot injury. The reasoning may be because of the way that teams are placed. I, for one, will, if I am seeing Josh Allen at 35, as long as my team is permitting to take a QB, I'm taking Josh Allen at 35 every single day of the week. And because of Josh Allen's significant history of basically just playing all the time, his backup QB and Kyle Allen is really not interesting here. Next, we have James Cook, who is an RB who we have really heard a lot of these years. People are talking, oh, he's going to face this regression, that regression. In the past 3 years, he's finished top 10 in RB with being 6, 8, and 9 in the past 3 seasons. Overall, has a very low, doesn't have the highest of ceilings, but has a very solid floor as well. He's a running back who played 17, 16, and 17 games last season, getting, 300 rushing attempts, a career high last season. The receiving outlook isn't really there, but at the same time, he has a very high touchdown percentage within his runs. And even though he had less touchdowns this year than he did the previous year, you were still able to see him come out with a better running back finish overall. I think that James Cook is one of the most electric backs when I watch him. The issue with taking James Cook, and this is a trend that you'll see a little bit within these teams that people are going for more stacks of, James Cook will have better games when Josh Allen is, maybe not having as good of a game. A good Josh Allen game does not mean you're going to have a good James Cook game. Now, there are going to be games where both smash, don't get me wrong. These crazy, 40-point games that the Bills can put up any day of the week, especially when they're playing teams like the Jets in their division. It can happen. But Josh Allen and James Cook's success aren't correlated when it comes to fantasy points. So avoid stacking them. The other running back options in this backfield, you have Ray Davis and Ty Johnson, who, if you were to see an injury to James Cook, you would probably see these guys end up splitting the backfield more likely than not. Where Ray Davis would be my preferred handcuff if you are looking to draft the James Cook handcuff. Um, he is pretty strong here, where, in his 58 rush attempts, he's averaging 4.7 yards per carry, 275 rushing yards. Again, he gets the lighter workload, he gets the simplified game plan. That doesn't mean that he's a better back than James Cook. It just means that with his simplified workload, he plays very well. If there is a James Cook injury, there's a very good possibility, seeing that Ray Davis is also a receiving back who gets these passes from Josh Allen, that he may absolutely smash on a Josh Allen team. So if you have a Josh Allen team, you're looking to get another running back in these late rounds, Ray Davis is an excellent pickup. All right, we're going to talk about the wide receiver room, and for the Bills, it's a little bit more nasty than you would love it to be, considering that you have, arguably the best quarterback in the league right now. You had DJ Moore, who is their projected wide receiver one based on ADP this season. DJ Moore's ADP is slightly raised because of Josh Allen. Where Josh Allen goes, the team that takes Josh Allen will generally also take DJ Moore. Um, Again, DJ Moore last had a 1,000-yard season in 2023, before really having a good quarterback in the past 2 years, where he had Caleb throwing him the ball. He finished as wide receiver 16 and wide receiver 28. Obviously, we see the target share fall off massively in 2024, where he gets 85 targets in comparison to the 140 career high he had in 2024. In 2023, he had a 1,364 yard season where he averaged 14.2 yards per reception and had 8 touchdowns. In 2024, that extremely fell off, and that was the year where everyone was like, DJ Moore is washed. This guy's not willing to really play football. And while we did see some issues with him last year, and maybe you feel a little bit butthurt because you took him in your previous fantasy draft and you basically couldn't play him at all, but he was back to his regular efficiency where he was getting 13.6 yards per reception. He had 6 touchdowns last year in a great Bears offense. But if I'm going to be very honest here, I'm going to rely more on Josh Allen to get DJ Moore the ball, especially seeing the receivers that we're going to talk about next year. DJ Moore is definitely up to be a better player. Now, I have barely drafted DJ Moore. He is my 68th receiver drafted by dollars spent. Again, at his price right now, he is getting priced in a little bit higher than I would love. 55 is getting a little bit more accurate, where if I didn't have Josh Allen on a team, I would be okay with taking him. But again, a lot of DJ Moore relies on Josh Allen, so correlating those bets just makes sense anyway. Even if DJ Moore is going at 58, 59, he's not someone that I'm really looking at taking unless I have Josh Allen on that team. Khalil Shakir, this is a wide receiver that in these best ball formats works out at ADP of 126, because I can say that, yeah, he may get 2 or 3 useful weeks. The issue with Khalil Shakir is that he's kind of always been this secondary, tertiary option within this offense. I would say the main option has always been James Cook, and the secondary option being Dalton Kincaid or Dawson Knox, whichever tight end is playing the receiving set, and then it would be Khalil Shakir. All of a sudden, you add DJ Moore to this mix. Khalil Shakir becomes even less likable in his 5th NFL season here. Again, you're kind of betting that, Dalton Kincaid is going to continue his injury struggles. The Bills will need a more pass-happy offense with a defense that's going to be a little bit lackluster based on their current state. Again, Khalil Shakir has played less games than DJ Moore, where DJ Moore in the past 3 seasons has played 17 games all 3 seasons, while Khalil Shakir has played 16, 15, and 17. While that's not unhealthy by any means, based on the data, the small sample size that we do have, Khalil Shakir looks less likely to be healthy than DJ Moore. So, yeah. I'm gonna go on to Keon Coleman. Respectfully, you're throwing away money if you draft this guy. It is to the point that the ownership came out and started talking about Keon Coleman in a negative way. If Keon Coleman somehow hits 800, 900 yards this season and you bet on it happening, good for you. You deserve it. I think that is an incredibly risky and not worth it bet. Again, if you're taking him with your very, very last pick and you have Josh Allen and maybe you just don't have a stack that you feel comfortable about with Josh Allen and you really need wide receiver, he's available, but honestly, generally speaking, I'm still going to take a different receiver over him. Like Skylar Bell, again, he's a rookie. While he does have a spot to earn, they're going to try to make sure that they can say that, hey, this rookie is a lot better. And since they claim that Keon Coleman was a decision of the old coaching staff, they're going to want to say that, hey, the GM decided that Skylar Bell was going to get drafted. That's who we want to see. We're going to move on to Dalton Kincaid. Now, Dalton Kincaid, for a while last season, was a top 5 tight end. But due to the injury status, the way that he finished the year, he finished as a tight end 18, only playing 12 games. Pretty low amount of games played. Now, when Dalton Kincaid plays, you can pretty much guarantee that he's going to put up some points because he has been the first receiving option in this offense several times. If you don't have a tight end, he is a very great tight end to have. The issue now is that in the past 2 seasons, he's played 13 and 12 games. In the previous season, those 12 games is a little bit inaccurate because he left 2 of those games with an injury, so he really played 10 full games. How much can you bet on Dalton Kincaid staying healthy as he gets older, as he continues to get utilized, when this is an offense that has 2 other very solid tight ends in Dawson Knox and Jackson Hawes, both tight ends who are playing 17 games in their previous season. It's not really the best. Again, when the same thing that we're talking about with Keon, if you need a tight end to stack with Josh Allen, I would take Dawson Knox late. He's very interesting in that position. Dalton Kincaid is ranked number 20 by dollar spent for me at tight end, so not really the most expensive. Again, he finished tight end 18 last season, so I'm buying him a little bit less than his previous season finish. Not betting that he'll get more injuries, but that's purely just circumstance more than anything. I would love to take him on Josh Allen teams, but again, I'm not always so lucky to get Josh Allen. We're going to move on here to the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Miami Dolphins is a team that has been absolutely nuked, but when this team gets nuked, there also becomes an idea that, hey, someone in this team is going to be fantasy relevant. So who will that be? We're going to start off with Malik Willis, who is the QB that they paid $20 million a year to play for their team. He has immense rushing upside, which makes him a great fantasy asset. He's my 6th QB by dollars drafted. Again, I like to take him as my QB2 very often, my QB3 if I'm being a little bit more aggressive here with QBs. But he's a very solid option if your first QB or second QB is not really playing too many games. While you don't have too much history to base it off of, within his individual games that he plays, he has been pretty solid. In the past 3 seasons, he has not thrown an interception. He's only fumbled the ball twice. It's not crazy to think that he can put up some good fantasy points in these upcoming seasons, especially being QB1 here. The issue with that may be that you have Cam Miller out of North Dakota State, the rookie quarterback that they draft in this year's NFL draft, and Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers played 4 games at the end of the last season after they basically just benched Tua just to see what they had in him. In these games, 622 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 19 rushing yards, 35 fantasy points. I'm not really that interested. Again, Malik Willis and Quinn Ewers played the same amount of games, while Ewers had the passing yards, you saw the rushing yards a lot stronger from Malik Willis with two rushing TDs to add along with it, and a better fantasy football finish at QB 44 versus 47. Again, these are very small sample size numbers, but the only situation where I really see that they don't keep Malik Willis as their starter throughout the entire season is if he finishes with an injury. But do you really want to be taking the quarterback number 2 for the Dolphins? Not really. Because of that reason, Cam Miller, Quinn Ewers are not very interesting players to me in this offense. Let's go to the running backs, which this is where it gets very, not even interesting. This is very obvious. Devon Achane, one of the best running backs in the league. He's my second most owned running back by dollars now. Used to be my first. I just didn't get to take him in the very expensive tournament that I got into. So again, in the past 2 seasons where he has been the clear-cut starter, he has been finishing as RB5 and RB6 with 16 and 17 games played. He only missed one game last season where he had a career high in rushing yards and almost 500 receiving yards, a 12 touchdown season to match the previous season. The downsides that come with Devon Achane, the only reason why he's not RB3 in this year's draft, and he's actually going in the early to middle second round, is really just because this team is probably going to suck. And running backs on bad teams generally don't do well, but he's also the only receiving target where we may see him have a CMC-esque season, a Bijan Robinson-esque season where there's no one else here I would really want to pass the ball to. So why not just pass the ball to Devon Achane running it out of a flat? The issue comes with Mike McDaniel leaving. We'll see how the new coaching staff goes, but if there was someone that I had to bet on, Devon Achane would be that guy. As far as it comes back to their backups, I've taken Ollie Gordon in a draft. Honestly, don't know why I did that. I wouldn't really say that it's the most important thing. Jalen Wright exists in this backfield, and we did see a lot of, in that one game that Devon Achane went down, Jalen Wright usage, but more likely than not, Ollie Gordon played 17 games, Jalen Wright played 10 games. It's more likely that Ollie Gordon is going to take over this spot than Devon Achane based on games played, based on the age of these picks, based on, just overall what we see out of both these running backs. We may see a split backfield, but so far in this, while running, we've seen that, while Jalen Wright looks a lot more talented of a runner, you have Ollie Gordon as more of a receiving threat. So to plug and play replace Devon Achane, I would say Ollie Gordon would be a better running back. Again, we have no idea what would happen, and you really should not be taking the backup RB for probably one of the worst offenses this next season. We're going to start off now with wide receivers. Now, this gets pretty deep, but at the same time, not that deep at the, over here. At one point, we thought that Tutu Atwell might be wide receiver 1 on this team, which would have been horrible for the Dolphins. But what it's looking like right now is that Malik Washington is going to be wide receiver 1, where while he's played a lot of games in his past 2 seasons, we don't have enough data to really see what he would do if he was the one. Obviously, this is an offense that had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and no longer going to have that. But, yeah, at a 188 ADP, he's the first wide receiver that is available. The only other wide receiver I'm willing to talk about in this offense, and the only other wide receiver you can consider drafting, is Chris Bell. The only reason he's going this low is, again, the injury. If he is able to bounce back as a young rookie who was a 3rd-round pick by Miami despite the ACL injury, again, you may see him being able to play in your wide receiver 3 flex spots in 1 or 2 weeks, which is all you really need out of your last pick in these underdog drafts. When you're looking at non-dynasty drafts, don't even touch him. Don't go for any of these guys. They'll be on the waiver wire if something happens. Take your bids then, but in your drafts, don't even worry about them. Now, the big name, Greg Dulcich, the UCLA tight end who really hasn't played too much, but has been rising in ADPs up to an ADP of 182, where he started off in the near 200s. He's very interesting because we have no idea who's going to be the number one receiving threat. He, in the past season, played less games than Malik Washington and had more receiving yards. So Greg Dulcich has a very strong capability of honestly just being useful here. We know that Malik Willis is the kind of quarterback that likes to take off and run, and usually those quarterbacks, if their run options get taken away, they will go for the tight ends. You can see this kind of play from Lamar Jackson where Mark Andrews is instantly viable. You can see this kind of play from Jackson Dart where Theo Johnson, a very below average tight end, became very valuable. Now, I would say that at the price of 182, it's very hard for me to take him, which is why my ownership has gone down on him, and he's now tight end number 14 for me. But if you're getting him at the 190s, where he's probably tight end 2 max, probably going to be tight end 3 at that position, why not just take a guy who has an opportunity to maybe play as a tight end 1 and start every week in your tight end slot as we go forward. Now, what I didn't realize was how long each of these descriptions is going to take. So that's going to be part 1 of my AFC East video. Part 2 will come out probably sometime tomorrow, talking about the Patriots and the Jets, and also just going over the overall AFC East as a whole. Hate doing this, but otherwise this video would be over 40 minutes and people barely watch my videos anyway, so I'm not trying to do all that. But yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. I'm drafting almost every night in these underdog best ball tournaments, so join up if you want to. But yeah, peace.